Scoring system. Right, so in our last video, our player collected these spheres which have added coin 1, coin 2, and coin 3. And what I mean by collected was when the player came in contact with them, they disappeared. Now, what would be nice is to have like a scoring system on the game where every time we collect a coin, then maybe our score goes up by something like 200. So what we're going to do is add text onto our document, so it will say score, and underneath that, then it will be a number 0, and every time we come in contact with one of these guys here, our score will increment by 200. So the way to add text is actually to add something called a canvas. But if you just click on the plus sign up in the top left hand corner, go down to UI, which stands for user interface, and text is there. Now the canvas thing I was just referring to is there, but if you make text, what I will do then is generate a canvas, and the canvas gets basically placed over the camera lens, so we can kind of always have the score put on there. Now you can kind of see that this text has appeared here, canvas text, and in fact my text I'm going to call score title, or maybe score label might have been better. Now if I double click on the canvas, it will zoom out and you can see that our terrain is all the way down here. Now I might need to, hang on, bear with me a second. Sorry, I paused the recording because I thought I might need a mouse to actually scroll in and out to be able to show you this properly. But I just realized I can just use these perspex things up here to make it so we can actually see what we need to see. So at the moment, our text, I don't know if you can make it out, but it's really small there in the corner. So if I double click on it, it just says new text. And while we're on this, then I'll actually change it so it actually says what I want it to say. So I want it to say score, and you can see there are updates there on the screen for us as well. Now I can change the font style, but it's not a case of just clicking on a drop down list in this there. You will need to import a font style in, which is easy enough to do if you know where to find them, and then you can choose what font you want to use from that. I'm going to keep it Arial at this point because this is just showing you how to do things. Now the font style is normal. Basically I can choose if I want it to be bold, italic, and so on as well. Now the size is currently size 14, and if I click on this and drag it right and left, you can see that it actually adjusts on the screen there to show you how big it looks. But the problem is when you go bigger than the text box can actually hold, it disappears. So what we need to do where it says horizontal overflow and vertical overflow is change both of these to overflow. And what you'll find is that then no matter how big you make this, it will actually still show on the screen. Okay, it won't actually disappear like it did a second ago. Now, a couple of things I want to do first of all. I want to write the line there because it's actually going to be in the top right hand side of my screen. I think font size is probably a bit too big on there, but I do also want to change the color. So I'm going to change this so it is white. And I think white is that FFFF or was that? Yeah, there we go, I got it right. That's what the hashtag is for that then. And that's okay as it is at the moment. Let me just double click on canvas a minute to see how big it is. And I'm actually going to move this. So I've got move selected there up into the top right hand corner like so. And in fact, I probably want it a little bit bigger if anything. Yeah, that'll do like that. Now, if I actually click on my game, you can see then the score's up in the top right. So if I want to adjust that because it's not quite in the right position, then I can actually mess around with the X and Y position there, or I could do it manually myself back on the scene by using the move tool like we just did. Now, the only other thing I want to kind of show you as well with this, the score, it does kind of stand out quite well on the game as it is there, but if I had a white background, you wouldn't see it. So I just want to add something to the text to make it jump out then. So I've clicked on add component, and I'm going to type in shadow, and it appears here. And what that does then, it actually adds a shadow to your text. And I can make that shadow bigger or a different color by adjusting these. So I know that my effect distance is going to be 2 by -2. And if I go back to the game now, then you can see there's a slight shadow on it. Now, depending on your font size, your font style, and so on, you can make that really prominent if you really wanted to, but that's just to show you how to do it. So at the moment, when I press play, I will still do what I did before, running around collecting these coins, and I'll have this text up in the top right-hand corner. So I actually need something now which will change every time I collect a coin. So I'm actually just going to copy score title over here on the left-hand side, Control C and Control V. And the second one then, and it actually directly on top of each other at this point, it's just going to be called score. And I want it to be set to 0. Well, I've just typed in 0 into it. It's not actually set to that at all. It's just what displays. And I'm just going to move it down so it appears like so. Right, so like I said, on the game, score 0, but at this point we haven't done any coding, so when I actually collect those bubbles or those coins, but that increments up by a certain amount. So our code from the last video, which was item collector, this one here, we're just going to add a couple of things to it. And in particular, we're adding this line here using Unity Engine UI, and that basically allows us then to manipulate the text which we put onto our canvas. And I'm also then going to put in these bits and pieces at the beginning. I'll explain what they do once they're in there. So they're actually going to go like so. So basically we're setting the score to 0 because that's what we want it to be. We're also identifying what the score text box is. So that's this 0 here, which is our score text box there. And I'm saying at the start of the game, I want our score text box to be set to the score, which is 0 here. And I've got to put toString on there because it doesn't actually like it being in number format for some bonkers reason. So that needs to be on there as well. But we haven't finished yet. We've got a couple more lines to add in. So where we've got our destroy coin thing, so when we come in contact with it, disappears, we want our score to be incremented and we want our score text box to change as a result of that. So underneath these lines here, I'm going to press Control V again. And like I said, I actually wanted to go up by 200, and 50 for just something different. So like I said, when you come in contact, the player comes in contact with anything with a coin tag, it destroys the coin, it adds 250 to our score, which is currently set at 0, and then I will update on our text box. So if I press Control S and I go back onto Unity, now in an ideal world, I'd love to just press play and it will work. However, I do need to tell Unity where my text boxes are, which will kind of show in a moment when this is finished doing what it's doing. I'm trying to buy time basically by talking. I should just go silent. This is taking way too long. Right, should I pause the video? Should I pause it? Yeah, I'm going to pause it. It got up to 53 seconds. But anyway, like I was saying, we've added code already to our main camera, which is it's not that at all actually, is it? It's player. Item collector. And now we've got score set to 0. So if I wanted to, I could set the score to something else at the beginning of the game if I wanted to. And this score text box, which has got nothing in it at this point, basically will update. So we need to drag across the score, which is that 0 there, across to there, to say that this is the text box which we want you to update. So, right, let's play the game. Let's collect some coins. And what should happen every time I come in contact with a coin, one, it will disappear because it gets destroyed. Secondly, our score will update by 250 every time we do. So let's go and get that guy over there. So ready? Ta-da! And if I collect the next one, it goes up by another 250. And let's get the last one. I always miss it. 750 like that.